brother, this is the thing. Like, as I've gotten older, it's the more I realize I know nothing.
I know nothing.
I know as much as I'm like, hey, Paul, you're a master of this field. No, I'm not either.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. It just means if you're gonna call me a master of something, that just means I have no idea.
Yeah.
I got,
you go through these stages where like, and you're like, all right, I know everything. Then you go like, all right, let me go down the rabbit hole a little more. Whoa, I don't know shit about this area. Okay, after a couple of years, you're like, yeah, I know everything. Go down. So you can always go deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, and that's when stuff gets really fun.
If this is the first time you've been here, welcome. This is Paul. Brian.
Thanks for joining us.
Voila. Like Obama would do. We're here. All right, everybody. So welcome to It's More Than Black or White Health Podcast. We are your hosts, Paul and Brian. We're in your corner. This show is about you being an advocate for your health and well-being. So Brian and I go over different versions of health, like physical health, mental, social, career, sexual. We talked about testosterone, erectiles. Bro, we talk nitric acid, bro, or uric acid. We talk nitric oxide. We talk about so many things.
Yeah, we have a lot of experience. I mean, I've been doing this for 19. I'm 45, so 26, 27 years. Is that right? That's right. Yeah. Brother. Yeah, right there. And taking a lot of seminars. Paul, I know you taking a lot of seminars. I've heard you speak in seminars, man. You're awesome. So we have a great group of knowledge, and just from various things, like, everything from quantum physics to uric acid. we have fun doing this.
Oh, brother. Especially it's fun with you, man, because, bro, I dig your style. I can only imagine what it was like. I was like, man, sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I knew Brian when he was in his 20s.
We have a lot of good stories.
Oh, bro. Yeah. I mean, we got good stories now.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. And you know what? It's interesting, B, because you and I have both been in this for like over 25 years, bro.
Yeah.
That's longer than some people have even been alive, bro.
It's funny, man. I'm like a trainer now, a lifetime. I'm going on my 15th year, slowly transitioning out of that to get and do other things. But there's people that were hiring that are like in their younger 20s. I'm like, man, I was like, when I started here, like you were like second grade. Yeah. Man, it's
some of those cats were in their daddy's nutsack, man. Yeah. It's like,
it's all full circle, man. It's all full circle.
So it's interesting, B, because I find myself, especially when I'm working with younger guys, and young people, I find myself wanting to share lessons that I wish I could have told myself when I was 20. Mm-hmm. Like, I really do. Like, I'm like, motherfucker, I wish you could listen to what I'm saying. Don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it. Don't. So if you listen, people that are watching, if you said to yourself, if you're a little older, maybe you're over 30, maybe in your 20s, you wish you could tell your younger self something, or whatever age you are, if you've had it in your mind, like, hey, I wish I could go back in time, hop in that DeLorean with the flux capacitor, go back to 1985, maybe have some words with my younger self, what would I say? Just bestow some wisdom. So for this episode, Brian and I are going in. We're going to talk about some of the things we would have told ourselves, our younger selves, because, Brian and I still look young and looking good and stuff, So, I'm sorry. I
love it, Maggie. I love when you.
What's that?
I love when you say that. It's funny. Crack you up.
So we diving in, man. So if one of the things here, too, people, if we hit on something that resonates for you, put it in the comments. Also, if there's something that you would say to your younger self, put it in the comments. I think this is going to be a great episode, Brian, where we'll hear a lot of great advice. I think the comment section could be littered with great advice, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, hell yeah. So people, before we get started, like, share, subscribe. I'm probably talking slow. I think I bit my tongue in my sleep. I've been having some vivid ass dreams, bro. Like
some lucid dreams.
Lucid. Like I'm waking up like, bro, this thing on my tongue, I don't know how the hell it got bit. I'm like, what the fuck?
Anyway. Well, you just did some crazy detox for like 3 weeks. So you're releasing a lot of shit. So you're going into different realms and dimensions and dealing with some stuff. So
bro, it's crazy, man. I was chilling with Dr. Strange 2 nights ago. We were fucking chilling, man. We were like so we were fucking chilling. All right. Yo, B, all right, B, let's get it kicked off, baby. Like, share, subscribe, everybody. We're gonna get it going right about nowish. B, you're up first, bro. What's one lesson that you would give to your younger self and the reason you would give that lesson?
So for me, I grew up with not a lot of money. So I always I would do anything I could to get money. So like as far as like working my ass off, like there was, years and years that I did like 7 days a week. I was doing 60, 70 hours, just grinding through, trying to make money. Yeah. And I felt like I still was always living paycheck to paycheck. So with that I would go back to myself and just say, be aggressively patient. The money will come. What I mean by that is like the competition is like brutally weak out there. And I was reading a quote from somebody the other day, and might butcher it, but it's like, most people are not willing to be uncomfortable for 3 years, but are comfortable working 40 years for someone else or for a company that doesn't give a shit about you. And to me, that kind of like blew my mind. And that's what I did in the beginning, because I didn't have confidence in myself in my early 20s to go off on my own. I wanted to work into a brick and mortar and like, all right, my goal will be like, all right, how do I get to assistant manager, and how do I get to a manager? And maybe one day if I work, 90 hours a week, I can get a $10,000 raise and become a district manager. That was what I knew. That's the only way I knew, like, how to progress in life as far as like, building wealth. And now I know it's like, man, I should have went off on myself and just been patient and just working myself every single day, instead of like kind of getting molded into this like corporate, shitstorm. That makes sense. Yeah.
That makes so much sense, man. So I want to make sure I got it right. You said be patiently aggressive, correct?
Yeah, or be aggressively patient. Okay. Be aggressively patient. So it's like, I think people are, and especially in this day and age, like everyone's like, they just want instant gratification. They want that money right away, and they'll do anything they can to get that lump sum of money. Yeah. But it never lasts. It's like, just like, yeah, you get your, you get it, then all of a sudden you crash. Nothing's sustainable over a longer period of time. And you really got to work on your craft. And I really believe in, like, it was in like a Napoleon, Earl Nightingale quote, where he's like, study 1 hour in your field every day for 3 years. You'll be at the top of your field. Within 5 years, you can be a national authority. And studying 1 hour for 7 years, you'll be one of the best people in the world at what you do. And there's no reason you can't work on yourself 1 hour a day, 1 hour a day. So be aggressively patient, and
that's a good one, bro. That's a really good one, especially for a younger person. I really like what you said about the impatience that people have. I mean, like, dude, like, truth be told, man, like I can get impatient even in my 40s, like, in this age that I'm at right now.
Sure.
I think being aggressively patient I really like that phrase because it's being patient in the process. And what I'm hearing you say, it's also being aggressive in your actions.
Yes.
So I think that's super important because, and also, Brian, something I'm hearing in this too is being intentional.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, bro.
Yeah, you have to have discipline. You have to have oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're holding yourself accountable and you're not lying to yourself. And like you
It's like
show,
personal accountability.
yeah, like you're showing up. You have to have, I'm sorry, integrity. That's the word I'm looking for. Integrity is something you're saying you're going to do something, you're following through on it,
Right.
and you have to have personal integrity. You have to have it, and just always push forward every day. Like if I'm going to be like, all right, well, I mean, listen, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. We have our side business. We do this. And when you first launch something, it's not really going to be successful in the first 3 years. And that's a good sign. Anything that's too successful really quick, chances are it's going to get taken away from you. Trust me, I know. Like I made good money in 1 month, and all of a sudden, like in the next 2 or 3 months, it just kind of goes away. You'd rather have that slow, gradual incline, and it takes a while. It takes a good it takes a good 3 to 4 years to actually start collecting a paycheck when you're an entrepreneur. It's very tough, and you have to be disciplined when that money's not coming in, or you get the shit kicked out of you a couple times. Waking up early and being disciplined and having that, that personal accountability for yourself, that is very difficult. It's harder doing that than it is, I think, working 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week for 40 years for someone else.
Brother.
Pretty tough.
Dude, before we move on, I really want to highlight something else you said, which freaking hit me like a ton of bricks. Is that most people are uncomfortable living that life of doing something for themselves for 3 to 5 years, yet they're more comfortable working for someone else for 40.
Yeah,
it's freaking, dude. It changes things up, man. And I think, this is going to be mine's going to be more along the lines of studying, right? But before we do that, B, are you complete with that one? Because I like that one.
Go ahead.
So the mind that I would bring to my younger self is study self more than I study other things. So I think in my 20s, actually I gotta write that in. Hold on. Study self. We're doing it live, people. Study self.
Right.
Doing it live. All right. So this is something when I was in my 20s, man. One of the things that really got me was that coming from my household, like a Caribbean household, education was like a thing, right? Even though at the time my brothers had yet to graduate college, same with my sister. I was the first one in the family to graduate college, and then like others followed suit. But I remember I was taught so much to focus on your studies. Get your education, get this. While okay, it has some benefit, and shameless plug, go check the self study episode we did, very instructional. I would say to my younger self, study yourself more than you study anything else, because as I've learned over the years to study myself, I've begun to know my patterns, my habits, my shit, my gold, and then slowly start to integrate and figure out how I work with it, rather than how even what's your weakness? Well, it may not really necessarily be a weakness, and I don't have to always focus on making it better. I could acknowledge the weakness so that hey, if I have a partner, okay, hey man, this partner could do this, listen, studying self applies to many things. It applies to how you show up, how you live in your life, how you are in relationship, whether it's business, personal, romantic, whatever it is. You'll know yourself enough to be able to communicate hey, listen, this is what works for me, this is what doesn't. Hey, this is a fit for me, this isn't. Because I think when we're younger, and even when we're younger, we're so focused on just making mistakes, right? Which is a good thing. Yeah. But we're just out there just doing stupid shit. right? Well, I'm gonna speak for myself. I was just out there doing stupid shit because like I was like, oh well, I gotta just I figured like I'm gonna go work at ADP and I'm gonna be here till I'm 60 and I'm gonna get a gold watch and a freaking certificate for how many years I've been here. That was my main thing, bro. Like I wasn't really thinking about anything else. I was training at the time too. And that was like the one thing I did that I loved, right? Because it was like, even though the work day would suck, I know at the end of the day, I can go work out. And also I'm helping other people getting better health. So that was my go-to, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is I was so focused on studying about like how to make people better, how to do this or like, this mainframe and this system and all that shit. I was so out of touch with really studying myself. So for younger people, study yourself, study your habits, what you like, what you don't like. One of the books I'm reading, I don't know if you've ever seen this. One of my clients gave this to me on Holly. I'm finally reading it. This book, Unique Ability. So it's got a worksheet, and I'm like, I'm working on it a couple hours a week. So it's really interesting because it's like, hey, what do you like? I'm writing down stuff I like. I'm like, oh my god, like I forgot I did that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, huh? Like, I was thinking about this. I was looking at my YouTube channel, my other YouTube channel, and I was looking at the first video I ever did. It was in my house down in Springfield when I was married, and that video was freaking horrible. It was horrible, bro. It was the editing sucked.
Yeah.
And bruh, it was an opportunity for me to get to learn a skill. So like I bring that up because just like how we would learn a skill, I think it's important that we take how we learn something else and learn it to ourselves. Think of it like you're a superhero that's learning more about your powers.
Sure.
Okay. And yeah, that's my one right there, man. Boom bit.
Yeah, I like that. It's tough, man, for a 20-year-old to have that. What's the word? Introspective ways of kind of looking in with themselves, because everything to them, everything is just all around them. They don't realize that what they have inside is actually controlling their external environment, and you can tell that to a 20-year-old. They'll hear you, but they're not going to listen.
I'm afraid
I didn't really get to that point, probably until I was like 30, 31, when I really, really hit rock bottom. And I got introduced into psychedelics, controlled way, not doing psychedelics to like mask my problems, but to like understand why these things keep happening to me. And it took a while to get to that maturity, I guess that's the word, like maturity, like in realizing that like, yeah, this is me kind of doing this to myself, and I had these dark shadows or blocks into me. And when you're younger, you play that victim mentality, because you're like you're too much of an ego, you're too proud to admit that you're wrong.
Yep. Like, I know it all.
I know I never met a 20-year-old that doesn't know everything,
Yeah.
Then as you get older, you realize I don't know shit, and that's the fun part about it, because I'm always learning.
Bro,
yeah.
Thank you, B. That's one of the many reasons I adore you. It's like you're in my head, brother. This is the thing. Like as I've gotten older, it's the more I realize I know nothing.
I know nothing.
I know as much as I'm like, hey, Paul, you're a master of this field. No, I'm not either.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. It just means if you're gonna call me a master of something, that just means I have no idea.
Yeah.
Huh?
You go through these stages where like, and you're like, all right, I know everything. Then you go like, all right, let me go down the rabbit hole a little more. Whoa, I don't know shit about this area. Okay, after a couple of years, you're like, yeah, I know everything. Go down. You can always go deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, and that's when stuff gets really fun.
And it does get fun, right? I love, like you and I talk about going into the rabbit hole, bro. We're like, meow, right into the cave, man. We're going to the knowledge. That's a fun part. And also studying the self is now as I go deeper into the rabbit hole, now as I'm starting to integrate, now I'm coming back, I'm taking everything that I've learned and I'm coming up to a level. Then I'm going to go back even deeper into the rabbit hole, and then I'm going to integrate again. It's like the sacred spiral, man.
That's it.
We're going to keep going around and around. You're going to learn, oh, man, guess what? It's like when people read a book, right? And it's interesting. I just realized I would read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich every year. I've yet to read it this year, which is a problem. I got to get on that. But and every year, B, something else comes out in that book. Every year, without fail, something else pops out to me. I'm like,
I got to read that book again.
bro,
You know, we should get like 4 people and do like a mastermind.
Bro, I would love that. I would love that because that book's got gems for lifetimes, bro. Lifetimes.
First 4 people to comment that want to be part of the mastermind, the 6 of us will do it for 6 weeks.
Let's go.
We'll find something.
Well, bro,
I love it. I'll even buy you the book. I'll buy you the books.
Ooh, listen, people, take advantage, bro. If he's saying it, he's not bullshitting you.
I will.
He's not bullshitting.
And we'll do a mastermind. It'll change your world. I've done about 4 or 5 masterminds on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich probably since I was my mid-20s, and love it.
He's a genius. He's freaking genius, bro. Oh my God, what? Man, what B? What you got? What's another one you would share with the young version of Brian Rankin?
Yeah, don't worry about what other people think about you or them liking you. Don't worry about that. You know, I think when you're younger, and especially when you go through high school and middle school, high school, and then you start getting out into the workforce a little bit, you really want people to like you. You know, you want people to care what you think, and that's not good. It's not good for a lot of reasons, man. I wrote down like 10 things why it's not good. Yeah. One of it is like you're going against your authentic self. You know, caring too much about what others think can prevent you from being your true self. And we talked about that with what was the topic we did where we're actually like almost like it like pulls away from your soul, like, you know, it's like your dharma. You know, we all have our purpose here, and we're all supposed to be living in a unique way. And when you start getting molded into other people's ideas, and you know that's not right, just because you want to be liked, it starts jacking up your dharma, and you start going down this crazy path, and then all these bad things start happening to you on an external level, and just because it's trying to like push you back into to get you on the right path.
Yeah, bro.
And it just, embracing who you are just leads to a greater personal satisfaction, you know, and you can't really blame people for not liking you because everyone has different opinions, man. Everyone's opinions are subjective, and they're based off their own experiences or biases. You know, you can't please everyone, and that's okay. Everyone grows up differently. Everyone's grown, you know, if you grew up poor, you know, on the side of a street and, you know, homeless, you can have a different outlook on life than if somebody grew up with, you know, taking limo rides to school. You know?
Yeah, man. Yo, so true, bro.
Yeah.
And each person's got their own set of issues, concerns. Yeah. Doesn't matter where they come from.
Yeah.
I like to add to the wisdom on this, man. And I really love that you said this to the young people, because I think if young people I consider us young, so I'm going to say younger people. If younger people get into the habit of this, don't worry about people liking you, or for guys, don't worry about being the nice guy. Be a good guy.
Yeah,
these guys they're shady, bro. And this is coming from a dude that was like, "Hey, I want to be a nice guy." Nice guys because I people pleased.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like, I never told anyone what was really going on for me, which was a bunch of bullshit. So no one ever really knew me. I was basically what I was in whatever situation I was in. And especially in my 20s. And what I found was in my 20s, I used to have migraines like pretty much every week. I used to have an amygdala hijack at least once a quarter. So for people like, what the hell is this guy talking about amygdala hijack? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's basically when you stamp or you compress what you're feeling, and then basically the amygdala is responsible for your fight or flight. So when you suppress that, all of a sudden, like you're like, hey, yeah, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, yeah, whatever, okay, and then you go by everybody else. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like you could see a squirrel, or you could see like somebody gave you like a piece of paper and you blow up at them.
Yeah.
Like, you motherfucker, why you do that? And then it's like out of character because people are like, what happened? Like, I don't know. You had an amygdala hijack. They used to have them in my 20s, Brian, all the time. All the fucking time. So I really like this because people, especially younger people watching this, it's important for you to establish and know who you are, especially at a young age. Because listen, there's no one like you, man.
Yeah.
There's no one like you. If they don't like it, that's okay. And another thing I want to highlight too with this is that, listen, that's okay. If people don't like you, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with you. That you're a projection on somebody else's shit.
And you don't want everyone to like you.
Yeah.
No, me. God, I could imagine like how annoying that would fucking be if everyone liked you. How many calls and texts and emails I would get every day?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
If everyone's liking you, you're not doing something right.
What did you go that way? Yeah, dude. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. And yes, yeah, bro, I love this one. I love it. I love it. All right. So for me, I got this is specifically for the men, okay? And well, I can't really say women because women, they have a biological clock, so they want to get married, right? Or they want to have married, have kids, and things like this.
We're about to lose some female subscribers.
We are. And listen, ladies, I love you, and I'm saying this because I want you to have the best version of a man that you can have. Fellas, leave the ladies alone in your 20s. Leave the ladies alone in your 20s. Why is that, Paul? Well, I'm glad you checked. I'm glad you asked. Listen, women will always be there. And what I found for myself, and this is like coming from my personal experience, I so much like in my 20s, I was like, and you and I have talked about this in a couple of shows. My 20s was all about like lifting weights, having some money in my account, hitting the go-go, getting some beers, and having sex. Okay? Like, that's what it was, man. Like, hey, I'm not gonna, So I say this because listen, it got me nowhere.
Yeah.
And the thing is that because I was so focused on getting ladies and doing work and having my jobs and stuff like that, and failing to do that self-study, or I was also worried about like, hey, I want everybody to like me and shit, like Brian was just saying. All of a sudden I lost myself and I got caught up in things that led to nowhere, right? So like, yeah, was it fun having sex? Like a lot of times, yes. Mm. And then there's a thing called post-nut clarity where afterwards it's like, well,
the old PNC.
Yep. Yeah, I'm like, well, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like I really wanted to be in a marriage with them, right? So I say this because, and listen, I say ladies, but it could be men too. And I'm gonna put a caveat to this: leave the opposite sex alone until you know yourself, because a lot of times in the 20s there could be like, okay, there's a lot of fun being had. I'm free of saying you can't have fun, safe fun. So wear your raincoats, people. There are a lot of sexually transmitted diseases that are running around out there. But I think it's like, I'm using this from a scientific perspective because for men and for women, when we abuse or disperse sexual energy unnecessarily, we're losing our creative energy. So in your 20s, this is a potent time for men and for women, really, because women have a high chance of creating life. Men have a high chance of creating life. But the thing is, if we're just going out there haphazardly, like, yo, I want to hook up and I want to get this and that, like, guess what? You're going to end up paying a price for it later down the road. Take care in your 20s and your younger self. Really look after yourself. Look after your affairs. What I mean by affairs, like look after your money. Learn how to grow your money. Learn how to do business ventures. Get mentors, get groups of men, get masterminds. Because I'm telling you, when you look at the numbers for men, especially, we can be in our 40s and marry someone in their late 20s. Leonardo DiCaprio does it at least 3 times a week, right? See, Brian, so Brian, so can I use you as an example?
I love that. Yeah.
So one of the things I admire about Brian is that Brian, like when he got married to Ayani, it was like he knew himself, right? So Brian, you and I have talked about this multiple times on the podcast, and what I really love is that you knew yourself. So Brian was able to go into the relationship, say, hey, listen, I love to travel. I love to do psychedelics for ascension purposes, not to just go fuck around. Mm-hmm. And like, this is what I'm looking for. Like, are you in? Now, this is important because a lot of times we'll get into relationships and we'll fail to know ourselves. And then as we get to know ourselves, then the relationship goes awry because you're going to find that person isn't right for you. Like I was telling my son the other day, like, listen, my former wife, like it didn't work out with us. Even though we don't get along, I still love her because we have had all that time together. We brought a kid in the world together. Can we be in the same room together? No. Yeah. I still love her, man. If she called me right now, it's like, Paul, I need you. Where are you at? Yeah. Right? But I didn't know myself enough, people, to really know and understand that she wasn't the best fit for me. So Brian doing this at older, and you're seeing more of this now. And even like people that get divorced and then find their what they say, their person. Is that the word now? Their person?
Yeah.
What's the reason that is? It's because they know themselves now.
Yeah.
They've gone through some trials and tribulations. So men, and I'm gonna look, hold up. I'm gonna change this up, B. I'm gonna put this to leave the opposite sex alone in your 20s.
Yeah, I feel like in your 20s, you're trying to find yourself. In your 30s, you're trying to make a career. I mean, late 20s, you're trying to work, establish a career. Late 30s, you're really like, that's where everything's basically at full throttle.
Yeah.
And, by the time you hit your 40s, like, chances are most people have their kids in their early 20s, mid 20s, maybe a little later now these days. But like, just working in like the gym setting, you see a lot of like, right when those kids leave the house, the wives have nothing to do. They go out, they go to a bar for the first time with their friends, and all of a sudden they start getting his attention. They're like, ooh, this is much better than what I have at home.
Yeah, man.
It goes both ways. Like you change, I would say you're a different person. Like it goes in like 10-year blocks. In my 20s, I was an absolute shit show. I look back, I'm like, I should have been dead 10 times. Like just doing stupid things. And like, we've all been there. I have no regrets, that's molded me into the person I am. In my 30s, I really try to work on my business or try to work for like a corporate company. And I just wasn't happy. I started getting into more of the entrepreneurial things, started diving into psychedelics. And that started changing in my 40s. It's been like all about like personal growth, personal and professional growth, trying to build things and like on a financial aspect out of it. And if you meet somebody in your 20s, you get married. I mean, I don't know what the odds are, but they're not in your favor for being with that person down the road, because it's very hard because people change, and you really have to be open-minded, because because they're going to go off in a direction, you're going to go off in a direction, and you're not going to always see eye to eye on what their beliefs are. You're not going to, and it really takes a strong person with a high emotional intelligence to be like, you know what? I love you no matter what. I support you in whatever you do. I'm with you. I want to see this through. That's true love, helping that other person fulfill their dharma and their purpose here. Yes. You might not understand why they want to do it, but do it anyway, because chances are it's going to make that person grow into something more beautiful than they already are. And you have to be willing to lose that person. That sounds weird. You have to be willing to lose that person. And that, to me, that's true love. Today, this day and age, we have too much conditional love. I love you if, I love you only, I love you when you do this. It's very rare to have that unconditional love. And that's the society we live in today. Like you don't really understand this stuff until, like, for me, I didn't really grasp it until like I got out of like an 8-9 year relationship with somebody. And that was a conditioned love she put on me. It wasn't an unconditional love. And then when I was like, okay, I took like 2 years off. I dated a little bit here and there, nothing serious. But when I found Hayani, it was like, bing. It was like very, very unconditional to a certain point. Like like unconditional to me is like, hey, go out and have your fun, sleep with whoever you want, no judge, I still love you no matter what. There I have a little conditions,
Yeah.
We're going to be together. But most of the other stuff, like we're very unconditional in a lot of ways. Like when we talked about, like we have different beliefs and religions, and how to raise kids, but like it's all good.
Yeah, man, because you guys can come together and hash it out, talk through it, man. That's the beautiful thing about it, bro. I love it, man, dude. I really appreciate that, man. And this is one of the things I just want to highlight something that I found, which I think applies to what I'm saying here, and also the self-study piece. And there was another one. Being patiently aggressive. I want to show something here for a second. Just bear with me. Make sure I get the technical. Okay, perfect. I saw this in a podcast recently, and I thought it was fascinating. If you look at the numbers, these are millionaire taxpayers tend to be older, right? So it's looking at the percentage of millionaires by age group. So if you look at the percentage under 18, none. 18 to 26, 0.4%. 26 to 35, 3%. 35 to 45, 17%. Now, if you look at 45 to 55, look at that. 33%, which is more than the age range from 0 to freaking 45.
Yeah.
Why is that, Brian and Paul? Well, we've been telling your ass for the past 36 minutes. Okay? This is why we, as older men, as older people, we listen. I still go through my shit, right? I'm in that 45 to 55 range. So I'm gonna be a statistic in that 33. Best freaking believe that shit. Okay. So I understand though, in this age range up until here, it's been freaking rocky. Why is that? Because I've had to learn myself. I've had to make mistakes, take lumps. And the fact that Brian and I are here to open up this conversation about what are some things that you could do younger. Listen, we want you to win. We want you to win, man. And part of that is really understanding like these concepts that we're talking to you about right now. So I just wanted to highlight that because I think it's important.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. What I had with my third one, if I would tell my younger self, and I still kick myself in the, but like I don't have too many regrets about this, about things in my life. But one thing I wish I would have done was to take more chances in my early 20s.
Ooh.
I took more chances. I wish I'm a big travel guy, and I didn't have the money. And now that I'm traveling more than ever, and I'm realizing when I travel, like you don't need a lot of money. People look at me and they're like, "Oh my God, you must be so." I'm like, "No, man. Like, if I told you what I pay for shit, like, you'd be like, really? That's it? Like, I could have easily done this. I could have grabbed the backpack, dropped off in France, and just backpacked my way all around Europe, South America, Africa, Asia for pennies. I would say pennies, but for a few bucks a day, literally a few bucks a day. And I wish I would have more chances, but not only about like traveling, but like embrace, and not only about traveling and taking chances, but like embrace failure as a teacher. I think it's so important to fail. It's coming more cliche now. Oh, failing is good, but it's so important to learn. It's so important. I was talking to somebody a couple months ago, and they were nervous about starting up another business. And actually, I talked to them a couple of days ago after I said what I originally said a few months ago. And I'm like, why are you nervous? Because like, I failed last time. I was like, well, let me ask you a question. If you knew what you knew now when you first started your business, do you think you would have been successful? He's like, well, yeah. I'm like, conversation's over. I'm like, why aren't you doing it again? And he's like, I never looked at it like that. So he was so focused on just the failing part, not learning the lesson that came out of it. And that's the thing. You're going to fail, but what's the lesson? What did you learn? Otherwise, you're going to keep repeating the failure over and over again. The universe is going to keep giving you that feeling of failure unless you understand what it is. Was it that I had the wrong like partner going into it? Was the economics wrong? Was just a bad time to invest money in that? Was there a niche that I not do my research on it? Was it me? Was I not being too disciplined? Was I being really like sporadic with actually doing my shit? Like one day on, 2 days off. What was it? It's always something. It always boils down. But I really believe it's to empower you. It's your fault why that didn't work out. And I'm not saying it in a mean way. I'm saying it in a way that it should empower you. It should I have 110% control of what happened to me, and go with that. And it's okay.
Accountability.
It's okay to make mistakes, and then treat, in the same thing. Like, and when you do fail, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. If you look back at your life and like, you don't wince a little bit like, should have done that. You're not growing. I was sitting there together. It was funny. I was sitting on the couch the other day, and my mom goes off like these things, and I'm sitting there. I'm all of a sudden like I make a face like, and Honey's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Just thinking about something stupid I did in my 20s."
Yeah, bro.
Like, and that's part of the stories, man. It's a part of and I love sharing those stories. God, I got so many stupid, embarrassing stories that I love sharing, man. That's me.
Yes, because you took the chance. It's like, listen, it's wild. It's a practice, I think, right? Two things you said. First, I think it's a practice to take chances. Second, I think it's a practice to look at failures as the lessons. I didn't fail, I learned, right? So it's like every time I fail at something, it's like, okay, I learned a way not to do it.
Yeah.
Or it's like, whenever we have, I remember in this group we used to run. It was for this 3-week course with the Mankind Project. So the facilitators, there were 2 facilitators, and after every call, like especially when it first got started. After every call, I implemented that we'd have a feedback. So it was like the 2 questions were, what went well? What's a better if? So it's an opportunity for us. And I remember so many times, because most men didn't really understand that. Like they were like, oh, well, I failed here. I was like, no. Listen to what I'm saying to you. What's a better if? They're like, well, I failed. What's a better if? Because if you keep like you said, if you keep looking at like you failed, you're going to keep failing, and you're going to fail to see the lesson. So you're going to keep repeating it. Yeah. So this is a great one. Take more chances, because then you learn faster.
Yeah. And I think one of the important things that allows you, when you take chances, it allows you to be more creative, and it forces you to be more resourceful.
Yes.
And it takes you out of analytical, smart thinking into intelligence, because you're relying on certain things. I'm reading a book right now. I'm about to take a course on biogeometry. I told you about this guy.
Yeah.
I'm taking a course with him in November, so I got to read this book. And one part of the book, they start talking about like where the Egyptian pyramids are, and how like there's certain places within the pyramids that have just such resonate high power. And it's also to do with the astrology and the shape of the pyramid. And they kind of get into like, people are like, oh, aliens must have built the pyramids. They're like, well, not really, because like the sound, the vibration made in the way they chanted, and they used the sources of the earth and the nature to make the rocks a lot lighter. I mean, whatever you believe in, but it was interesting. And they had a section about this. And part of Carl Jung, who was a famous psychologist. Was he a psychologist? Was that
like a psychotherapist?
Psychotherapist, yeah, Carl Jung. So he talks about this 4 different types of people that are ruled this earth. So basically there was primitive people, and they had shapes of their brain, the left side and the right, or in the right side. So like when the primitive people, they relied on, obviously every part of these 4 people, they had right side of their brain, but the left side maybe peaked out a little bit with the primitive people. And so they were a little bit more in touch with nature.
Yeah.
Ancient people, going back maybe like say 2,000 years BC, or 3,500 years BC to like, maybe like 1,000 years after, maybe a little before that, they had a big turn of left brain they were using. So they were really in touch with nature, and they were like, very like in tune with what was going on outside. Very intelligent, not relying on analytical thinking. And he's like, now we're on the third part where we have modern, which very little left brain, very little intelligence. I mean, you just look around our society and just turn on the news. We have a lot of smart people,
right.
No intelligence. There's very little, very, very hard to find intelligent people, because everyone we talk about is linear education. They have to be fit in a box. We have a human body, and there's a specialist for 46 different parts of the human body, and they think everything's separate. It's compartmentalized, right?
Yeah, bro.
But there's no intelligence. Then he's like, now we're starting getting into a phase where we're in the contemporary man, where that left brain is slowly starting to come out. There's like a little bit of a shift going on in our as in the universe, or in our on Earth, that people are starting to like kind of use this more and more, getting more into nature. And I feel it. Like it's, I don't know if it's people just getting sick because sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, and they're looking for different alternatives, but we're slowly starting to switch into that. So like when people are like, oh, we're so advanced with science and everything like that, I'm like, dude, you know nothing, because all we're relying on is smart. We're not relying on intelligence, which is like, smart is just a drop in the ocean. Intelligence is this vast thing. The ancient people, yeah, we might not have had iPhones, but my God, we were so much more intelligent 3 years ago than we are now. Yeah. But that's that's my rant.
I love, man. But when you go on rants, I'm like, yeah, here you go. No, it's interesting, man. This concept between smarts and intelligence. I think that may be another podcast.
Yeah.
Because we fail to use intelligence. Like, and it's wild you said that, because when I was on the weekend, being up in New York, I was up in Swan Lake, New York. Like, I remember at night when we were coming back to the tents, I would just look up, and it was like stars.
Beautiful.
It was amazing. I love going up there and being up there on a clear night, because you see everything. So why I bring this up is because the intelligence of the ancients, like, they could see things in the elements, in the stars, the astrology, how the earth moved, even how the wind direction, like, even being up in the land like that and watching how the wind moves through the trees, and then when it finally hits, there's an intelligence in processing that, in processing the smarts. Like, you could take in all the book stuff and everything, but
they used to talk to plants, man.
What's that?
They used to talk to plants. I remember doing ayahuasca outside of Peru, and there's literally tens of thousands of different, I mean, like probably hundreds of thousands of different species of wood and trees and plants. And there's two main ingredients that make ayahuasca. Like, how many times? The first time, I was like a little naive. I was asking the show, I was like, man, I wonder how many times they fucked up that antidote and killed somebody, making the bark and putting the wrong leaf in there. And he goes, no, there was no issues, because they talked to the trees. The trees let them know which is good, and they talk to the plants and they let them know what's good. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay,
yeah, that's what it was.
The smart people today,
right?
You can't talk to that's stupid. There's no proven research. There's no peer reviewed journal on this. We didn't learn this in college, so it can't exist.
It's crazy, bro.
There's no blind on the placebo. Yeah,
it's, man, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild. It's like every time I partake in the mushroom medicine, the psilocybin medicine, one of the first things that comes is my connection to the trees.
Yeah.
Like, I will vividly remember the first time I did. I had mushrooms outside. I was like, I saw this tree, and it was like moving, and it was like the arms were like. So I said, "What?" I said, "That tree is talking to me right now." And the cat I was with was like, "Well, what's it saying?"
Yeah.
And it was giving me a rundown. I bet you I have the journal somewhere because I wrote after that. I was like, "Yo, it gave me the downloads." People forget, man. There's sentient beings all around in the flowers. Like, bro, every morning I wake up after I do my son Sally's, I go out to my plants. I'm like, "Hey, babies, how you doing? You good?" "Oh, I know I didn't water you yesterday, did I?" "Don't be mad at me because you know I love you. I'm about to get you some water right now."
I remember one time I threw in about, I think it was like 5.5 grams of mushrooms, and that's a God's dose, right? A hero's dose, they call that, 5 grams or higher. So I did 5 grams of mushrooms, and I went in there with an intention. I was having an issue with one of my businesses, but I knew deep down something was telling me it was my fault. Like it was something I was expressing, it was something I was blocking, something in my creativity I was blocking. And I remember like after about like 2 hours into it, man, I'm feeling it. And I'm looking up at the clouds. I'm laying on my back. I'm looking up at the clouds. And the clouds started forming. It was like, almost like a play. It was like watching a movie, and it answered my question. Like, because it was like shaping itself, and I could, without saying any words, it was just like kind of like, it was like almost like a movie playing in front of me. And after about like maybe like 5 minutes of watching this, I was like, boom, like, thank you. Like, I appreciate that. Now I need to slow up so I can get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you're right. You're like, oh shit! Now let me get right. I gotta go. Yeah, dude. Listen. We're gonna have listen. Everybody, check out the psychedelics episode 2.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Far from a shameless plug. That's just what it is. God damn it! All right, so I got one more. Then we'll start wrapping
up. All right.
Oh, I was like, what the heck was that? Somebody's car just started. I was like, yo, it was like a volcano. This one right here, people, is something that I think everyone can work on. Learn to communicate effectively while you're young.
Oh yeah.
Right, B? Like, look.
It's tough with social media, man. Social media is raising these kids, you know, and they're learning emotional intelligence, you know.
It's nuts. So listen, I wanna be very intentional with this, because when I'm talking about communication, I'm talking about, yes, how we speak to each other, but also nonverbal communication, being aware of tones. Because when you can start to learn to communicate effectively and communicate what's happening for you, what's going on for you, what are your thoughts, what are your ideas, what's your plan. When you're able to do that at a young age, you're going to be more effective in enrolling people in your plans. Whether it's like, hey, you have a business idea, or hey, you have an idea to go on vacation, or hey, you're trying to get into, like, you're trying to get the favor of the opposite sex, whatever it is, there's being able to communicate effectively is a huge bonus. Because right now, Brian mentioned it, social media, what do we do most of the time? Emojis, short, like what do they call it, shorthand, like what does it say? WYD, what are you doing? SMD or SMH, shake my head. We start to use these acronyms rather than really speak out what's happening. And people don't, a lot of people don't read. Like we talked about that before. Like after high school, most people don't even pick up a book.
No. Yeah. What? I think a big part of effective communication, effectively communicating with somebody, is watch how you see if you get triggered when somebody's talking to you. I mean, you see this a lot on, like, social media, and it's like, man, like somebody agrees right away they're stupid, or disagrees they're stupid, or they just start attacking them, like, like, what are you doing? Like, and I think it's just like a sign of like just immaturity, man. It's just like, and even like everything, there's so many different ways you can always be a better, you can always communicate better in some way. I think that's a lesson that, or a course that'll follow you with you for the rest of your life. Like, right. When you're in your 80s, there's always ways you can communicate better.
listen,
yeah,
it's so important. And it's like on the way back from work today, I was talking to one of the guys I staffed with at All Kings, and we were talking about the power of communication and letting someone know when something that they did impacted you and how it impacted you. So, like for example, right when we're recording this, I think there's a debate tonight for our future candidates.
mm-hmm.
But like what you see a lot of people, what I see a lot of people do is when they're in an argument, like they go to personal attacks. Mark Lynn even talked about it when we had that episode with him. They'll go into personal attacks because they can be so frustrated that they'll want to attack the person and they'll be vicious with their communication rather than saying, I'm hearing what you're saying, and what I hear you saying is this, this, and this. Where I agree is here, where I disagree is here. Free of trying to change you, but like this is what happened. Or like, hey, you know what? When you just said that, this is the impact it had on me. Like I really didn't like when you said that. Like, because this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. Instead, in our culture right now, it's just like you're a piece of shit, F you, and then we'll group them into whatever rather than really saying what the heck is going on between you and that person. Communication is a big thing. Or even like, like there's times I get on here and if I'm like in a mood, Brian be like, oh, what's up? What's up? Because he can read my body language, he can read my energy. That's a part of communication. It's going to be key when you're in a relationship. If you're an entrepreneur or you're a leader in a company, a manager, director, whatever it is, one of the things that you can really step up on is how you communicate and how you're tuning into how what others are communicating, whether it's not verbally or non-verbally. So it's definitely a big thing.
Huh? I think doing the opposite of that is probably worse, being passively aggressive. That was like back in the day with that Mila hijack. So it's like you don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, and listen, and that was me. I was a passive aggressive dude because I wanted to avoid conflict, but I wanted people to know that I was pissed.
Yeah.
So that's a ripe concoction for passive aggressiveness. Then all of a sudden, people are like, "What the?"
Yeah.
What was that, man? Like I can hear in your tone, you didn't really wish me the best. I'm like, sure I did, man. I hope you do well, you fucker. What? You know what I mean? Like it's like. But like people gotta understand, like the way that we say things, the tone, all that stuff communicates. So if at a younger age you're able to learn that, pick that up, and I really think kids have that at a young age. They can see when something's off.
Sure, they're definitely in tune.
Yeah, they're in tune to stuff, man. They see and they feel, man. They sense. They're like, no.
Intelligence, way higher intelligence than an average adult. Yeah.
Aha. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, brother. Listen, that's exactly right. And see, people, look what we did here. Look what we did. Be patiently aggressive. Self-study. Don't worry about people liking you. Leave the opposite sex alone in your 20s. Take more chances, mother hoo-has, and learn to communicate effectively. B, you like those banners, don't you?
Boom. Boom shakalaka.
Boom! All right, so people, bless up, bless up, bless up. B, any last words, man? Because this was, damn.
This is good. We could have probably done another 10 easily. I try to find 3 good ones, and you find 3 good ones, and we'll, you guys like it, we'll do a part 2. Just throw that in the comments, and we'll be more than happy to do a part 2.
Yeah, and people, again, this could be one of those podcasting comments. Put in something that you would tell your younger self. I'm amped to hear it because I could listen. It may be something I could take care right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shucks, okay. But listen, man. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, B. It's always a pleasure, bro.
Always a pleasure, man. It's good to see your mug here a couple times a week.
Yeah, you know how we do. Plus the calls, baby. What? Let's go. So listen, man. Everyone, like, share, subscribe. in the comments, put in something you would tell your younger self. What's the lesson? Or if you're like, I don't know, what's one of the lessons that we had here that you would tell your younger self? And maybe what's the impact it would have on your life now? So, hey. Oh, that's another one on Pluto TV. What's happening? Remember rerun? Don't. So
all the 20-year-olds watching this right now are like, what the fuck?
they're like, huh? What? Rerun? Like a show? They don't know, man. Anyway. B, I love you, bro. All right.
Man. Peace.
Peace, everybody. Peace. We're out of here. Later.